Sarah, I know absolutely nothing about trauma-informed mediation.
Yeah.
It's a very embarrassing thing for me to admit to. So let's start with the basics here. What is trauma?
So trauma is, there's so many different definitions, but the one I like to use is that trauma is something that deeply impacts us and that often moves beyond our existing sort of self-care and support structures and creates that longer impact for us. But trauma is often an event, an experience, a series of events or experiences that start to push past that. So it kind of breaks through what we normally do to support ourselves in difficult circumstances, and it starts to really create that longer lasting impact. And often we notice that in a couple of different areas. We may notice it physically, not sleeping or changes in eating habits or levels of anxiety in the body. We may notice that mentally, so we might get forgetful. We might, find it hard to kind of think straight or think strategically. I just can't focus. We may notice that relationally, so communication breakdowns, maybe clinging to people or pushing people away. We may notice that spiritually, where we have a different perception of faith or even our understanding of the world. How can people do this to each other? Who am I in all of this? And of course, emotionally, we have huge impacts as well and changes in our behavior. So often we start to notice this real disruption in the way that we're experiencing our life in one or more of those categories when something moves into that space of trauma. One of the things that really helped me, Mike, when I started looking into this more, into this kind of area of trauma-informed practice, was even something as simple as when we experience trauma, or we can also call it toxic stress, one of the very natural responses to that is to get paranoid. So we kind of get suspicious of the world, maybe the people around us. And we see this so much in conflict-affected communities and areas, not least Northern Ireland, where, we see it with groups, we see it with individuals, where people become quite suspicious of each other. And once we know that as a practitioner, that's actually just a really normal response to trauma, then we can start to address that in different ways. So when I'm working, for example, with organizations or even nations, I did some work in New Zealand recently around the anniversary of the Christchurch mosque attacks. Working with government agencies to say victims and survivors of very difficult experiences, traumatic experiences, often need three things. They need physical and psychological safety, they need acknowledgement, and they need information.